Hey guys, Hijinx here, and sorry about the audio quality. I'm sitting in a room, there is a fan blowing, and also my really good mic is not working right now, so we kind of had to swap up over to our phone mic again. But I had a new kind of video. I thought it'd be something kind of interesting. If you guys want to see more of it, you guys should feel free to let me know. I want to kind of start up with doing this kind of video where we look at characters and talk about how good they really are in comparison to their whole entire franchise. And if you guys, since we're going to be going through this, I have to review portions of things that went on during their history. If you guys want a more in-depth thing with like lore, this isn't really lore focused. It does have some essence of lore discussed, but by no means is it like an in-depth look at everything lore-wise. If you guys want a more lore-focused video, feel free to let me know. And for today's video, we are going to be talking about Jill Valentine. Now, there's a ton of information and a ton of things I could talk about when it comes to Jill, so I really did have to limit it down. And for some things I'm not going to talk about, but maybe I'll reference them. And if you guys want me to explain that in a separate video, or maybe if you guys have any questions, you can put that down in the comments down below, and we could talk about it. But as a fan of the Resident Evil franchise, and having played the Resident Evil 3 remake recently, I feel like this would be a good time to talk about Jill Valentine. Fun fact about Jill Valentine is that she was the first playable female character in a horror survival game. But let's hop in and look at the answer to the question of today. Just how good is Jill Valentine? So for the sake of the video, we won't be going too in depth into all the information. As I stated before, it's kind of a brief run through, and I'm going to kind of reiterate this again and again. This way, if you guys are like, hey, that was missing, just know that, yeah, I'm going to miss some things, but, you know, I'm going to go through and make it as in-depth as I can for, like, time's sake. If I went through and analyzed all the lore, this could end up being hours long, honestly. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was transparent, that for the sake of the video, again, this is not a lore video, it's more of how good is this character video. We're going to be skimming over the lore. If you guys want me to elaborate on anything, feel free to let me know, though, of course. But let's look into her backstory a little bit. Jill was born in 1974, which makes her 24 years old during the Mansion incident. She joined the United States Army in the early 1990s. Now, looking at this, due to the military age restrictions of 18, we can assume that she would have joined around 1992 to 1993. This would mean that by the time of the Mansion incident, that she had 5 to 6 years of training. During her time in the Army, she caught the attention of the recruiters for Delta Force, which was the primary counterterrorism of the nation, and Jill took part in a 6-month operator training course, and during that time she was able to excel in bomb disposal and lockpicking. This would translate over to in 1996 when Jill would get recruited by Albert Wesker into STARS, the Special Tactics and Rescue Service, where she would be a breaking and entering specialist, utilizing her lockpicking abilities. And she would also be part of the Alpha team. In 1998, Jill was involved in the Mansion incident. In the spring and early summer of 1998, there had been a number of deaths of hikers and families. These deaths were implied to be by dogs and cannibals. Raccoon Police Department sent out STARS to the Arklay Mountains in search of suspected hideout. Bravo team was sent out on July 23rd, but contact was lost, so they sent out Alpha team to investigate the disappearance of Bravo and to continue the investigation. They find the pilot, Kevin Dooley, dead, and they get confronted by a pack of dogs which end up killing Joseph Frost. During the chase, most of the surviving members of the team go to the mansion, while Brad Vickers ends up splitting off and abandoning the team, going back for a helicopter. Within the mansion, Jill is able to discover that Wesker is a traitor and there to grab the bioweapon research, kill the STARS members, and destroy the lab to hide all the evidence and to get rid of any witnesses. The attacks were discovered to be resulting from the T-virus, a bioweapon that leaks into the surrounding area of the mansion. Jill, Chris Redfield, Barry Burton, and Rebecca Chambers from Bravo team do end up escaping this incident in a helicopter piloted by Brad Vickers, who ends up coming back. In late September of 1998, Jill Valentine survived the destruction of Raccoon City. Now this is going to be where we talk about Resident Evil 3. As you guys know, there was recently a remake of Resident Evil 3, so there is a little bit of difference between the remake and the original game. We will be following the remake, as I personally feel that will have the most people that that are familiar with it. So to keep it a little bit easier and make sure that everyone kind of is more familiar with what we're talking about, I'm going to go with the remake because I feel like that's probably the more popular one that people know about. Jill Valentine returns to Raccoon City and decides to hang back and investigate the whereabouts of Umbrella's underground facility with the help of Brad Vickers. Jill and Brad's investigation gets ruined when the water supply of Raccoon City ends up getting contaminated with the T virus, causing thousands of people to get infected. Umbrella also utilizes this situation to release bioorganic weapons, or as we'll call them from now on, BOWs. One of these being the Nemesis T-Type, aka the Pursuer. His mission is to hunt down all of the STARS members, and Brad Vickers ends up dying, but with the help of UBCS, Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service, specifically Carlos Oliveira, Jill is able to escape and overcome the T-Virus after being affected post her fight with Nemesis. Though the virus does still lay dormant in her system. Now, depending on what game you use, again, this will kind of decide how this ends up happening. This is where the difference really is. Jill ends up discovering the facility and killing Nemesis, and Jill and Carlos end up escaping. The Fall of Umbrella incident happens in 2003. After the destruction of Raccoon City, Jill and Chris continued fighting. By 2003, they were a part of the private anti-biohazard service. In February, the group had received reports of strange animal attacks near a small village in the Greater Caucasus. These reports were very similar to that of the mansion incident. Jill and Chris investigated the village, and realizing that it had been destroyed due to a T-virus outbreak, they find a young child named Anna, who is the only survivor that is not infected. After escaping the building, they do end up running into Wesker, but end up not being able to capture him due to the Hunter Deltas arriving. Wesker does reveal that the villagers were involved with the Umbrella storing the BOWs, and even though the two couldn't stop Wesker, they had evidence that the nearby chemical works was an Umbrella base. Jill and Chris go to capture the chemical plant and stop the BOW production in this region. Upon arriving, they discovered that the facility was overrun with BOWs, and after catching the attention of Colonel Sergei Vladimir, they had to fight Talos, which is a computer-aided and armored tyrant. They do win and capture the facility, however they do not have access to the data since Wesker was able to clear the drives. But Umbrella does still end up falling because Wesker turns in his information to the US government. Now there's plenty more information we can go through, and again I will reference this information. There is a lot of lore, and these again were just brief summaries. But for the sake of time, I am going to kind of talk about and give an overall analysis with the information we do have. And if you guys, again, want me to talk about the information, feel free to let me know. Jill, as of now, is listed as an active member of duty, so I'm going to have to say that she's still active, and with that in mind, she has 27 to 28 years of experience against high-level threats. She's beat Tyrants, she's beat Hunter Deltas, she's beat Nemesis, she's held her own against Wesker, she beat Talos, and she's beat a lot of other BOWs and just other types of infections overall. She's even able to rise against the odds in Resident Evil 3, beating an entire city's populace, surviving against the Pursuer, and overcoming the T-virus infection, even though it was with the help of Carlos. But we're here to answer the question, how good really is Jill Valentine? Jill's highly trained, has a ton of experience under her belt in high-stress situations and high-pressure situations. If I had to give an overall rating on a scale from 0 to 100, as I feel like this leaves little room for points to go missing, I'd have to rate her a 92. She had a lot of high-level accomplishments and high-value accomplishments, but there's no such thing as a perfect resume. Again, she wasn't infected by the T-virus via a battle with Nemesis, and was captured by Wesker and put under mind control. However, these faults are not unreasonable, so I really don't want to hold them too heavily against her. Overall, I think that if you look at the character, she is an outstanding character and really, really good and really talented. So the overall rating of a 92, I feel like, is a fair one to put there. I want to say thank you guys all for watching. If you guys want to see more videos like this, let me know. If you guys have any characters you want me to look into, let me know as well. Shout out to my subscribers on Twitch and members from YouTube, Mr. Dark Gamer, Ellie, Lord Blue Eyes, Anime Girl, and Just Lightsy. And I hope you guys all had a great time. I'll see you guys all at the next one. Peace.